let me show you a little experiment I just did. I had some boneless chicken thighs. And when you buy boneless chicken thighs, they're like this. And they're in a solid piece. So what I do is I unfold them. And then I took my scissors. And I took some tongs. And I cut them up into pieces like this, strips. So when it's opened up, I cut it right there, and there, and there, and there. And so then I took one egg, and add a little bit of water. I took an egg and some heavy cream, and put some seasonings in it. And then I had a thing of pork rinds, and I had some Parmesan cheese. Yes, I'm telling you all about it after the fact, and I am so sorry. So I dipped it in the bowl, all the wet ingredients, and then I moved it to that and kind of flopped it around. As you can see, it's not perfectly coated. It's not like, super fried chicken, but it's got to have some good bits on there. Got little pieces in there. I just watched a YouTube video to see how to do it. There's one I cut in half, so you can see the inside. Looks good. Tastes good too. I use some real salt. I used real salt, garlic salt, some Lchf seasoning salt. Anyway, so after I did the wet and dry, I put it on here just so I had a place to store it. And I heated up my air fryer at 375. Now, I'm showing you what I got going. And I cooked that. So now, that is, let me get my tongs here. So now this is like that's a piece. So you see it's not totally coated like, fried chicken. But it's enough and it's got flavor. And I can put a little more seasoning on it. I don't really care. But so I just kind of tossed it in, made it one layer, and that's what it's looking like. And I even added all the bits of the topping, the pork rind stuff. I just kind of sprinkled that on the top of it. So now that's gonna all cook, and I put it on 375 for 15 minutes. So you're gonna get to watch me cook this second batch. So 375 for 15 minutes. And then I'll show you the next step. Okay. So it's been 15 minutes. Let's see how it looks. The last time I did 15 minutes and then 5 more minutes. Oh, there's a piece. So what I did last time, I'm going to do the same thing. I just kind of went in, and I just kind of picked it up and set it down. Kind of stirred it up, mixed it up a little bit. Kind of said, la da da da. So there it is, and it's going back in. I think I did it 3 more minutes because there are 2 minutes left on it. 1, 2, 3. Now, when that's done, we have to do the obligatory gravy. So everything's going to be carnivore. Now, it may not be the most optimal carnivore, but sometimes you just got to do stuff that's not optimal. And so that, whenever this is done, we'll switch over to that. I have my oven set on 170. It's not for cooking anything. It's just for keeping the chicken warm while I'm doing everything else. So, scoop this back. Okay. So, I don't burn myself. Just just gonna put the chicken in here. Because that's what I did with the chicken that you saw a while ago. I put it in here. And one video I watched of how they did their chicken in the air fryer, they sprayed their air fryer with some oil, but that would make too much sense, and I didn't remember before I put my chicken in. So now what I'm going to do is put my lid back on the chicken, and I'll put it back in the oven, and I'll get you guys moved so you can see what I'm going to do over here. Okay, watch out, dog. Now I've done this with, hang on, I'm moving, you don't get seasick on me. I've done this with pork chops. And like I said, is it optimal? No. Is it carnivore? Yes. Is it ideal? No. But you know, sometimes, there's just sometimes when you can't help it. You just have to. Sometimes you just want something. This is bacon bits, by the way. Bacon bits pieces. Sometimes you just have to do something other than meat. And I love meat. Don't get me wrong. I do. But just something inside me today is saying something different. So, now inside here, I don't know if you're going to see that little bit of that's the juices from the chicken. And I'm going to put all that in there. And I'll wash the air fryer later. And I'm just going to kind of let this kind of heat up again. Let the skillet heat up. So when you're making milk gravy, of course, you use flour and milk. Well, carnivore, you know, we don't use those. So, what we're doing instead is we're going to be using, where'd I put it? We've got some heavy cream, and I'm going to water it down because, you know, too much cream and too much cheese. You know, that's why I say this isn't optimal because it doesn't have, you know, I mean, it's not the best because, you know, you are adding the cheese and dairy. You know, some people can't do dairy, so if you can't do dairy, don't do this. This is bacon grease that I made some bacon the other day. I'm just putting in, I don't know, what's that, about a tablespoon? About a tablespoon. Because, you know, I have had, you know, chicken and bacon and cheese before, like in the past, and it's just a good combination. So I'm just kind of warming that up. And I put some bacon pieces in there just because, I see if this was milk gravy, you know, I'd have a little sausage in there. So why not have some bacon in there? And now whenever you're making milk gravy, you have flour. So instead, I have crushed pork rinds. So what I did was I'm going to pull out just a little bit, or maybe I'll just turn it a little bit. I took a bag of pork rinds and I just beat it with my rolling pin. And so then I put it in a fresh bag, because then that bag has a bunch of little pinholes in it from the rough edges of the pork rinds. So I'll use this instead of flour. And then I've got some Parmesan cheese, and a little bit of feta cheese. So that's why I say this is not optimal. And if you can't do dairy, do not do this. I'm sure my weight will be up tomorrow and for the next couple days, but sometimes you just gotta do it. So how much pork rinds? Handful maybe? That's one handful. I think I'm gonna do another handful. Maybe about, so maybe that's a cup total, because that one's more like a 2/3 or a third. So maybe about a cup. That's about a cup total. And I'm just winging this, so I don't remember how I did last time, to be 100% honest with you. But this bag, I will put it in my freezer. And that's how I keep my pork rinds, my crushed pork rinds. I don't know, a couple weeks ago I called myself cleaning out my freezer and I tossed them. So now I'm just kind of, I mean, you don't brown it like you do milk gravy, but in a way it's I'm kind of browning it like you brown flour. So I'll just kind of let it stew a little bit, or whatever you want to call it. And like I said, I'm not going to get too carried away with the heavy cream, because I don't want myself to be miserable. But I'd like this to last 2 meals, so I'm going to try to do enough to make it for 2 servings of gravy. And since I'm also using some Parmesan cheese, and that's what I used in my for the coating of my chicken, I'm going to put a little of that in there now. Just kind of help tie it all together. So I'll kind of brown that a little bit, just like I said, just like you would flour. It's starting to sizzle real good. And the liquid is starting to absorb in the pork rinds and that cheese. I'm going to pull you in real close so you can see about how much I'm going to put in here. I'll bring you, let me see, come on, fella. Okay. So that I would guesstimate that to be about a half a cup. Definitely not a cup, but about a half cup would be a guesstimate. Probably about the size. No, about, I don't know, about like from here down. I don't know, about half a cup. So I'm putting that in the refrigerator. So now I'm going to add some water, because like I said, I didn't want to just overkill it with the cream. That was what? This is a half cup. Oh yeah, so half a cup of heavy cream, and then I'm doing 2 just to kind of, there we go, make it go further. And then now you can let it simmer down to, to thicken up, and that's fine too. So now it's pork rinds, and pork rinds are salty. But I still want a little bit of garlic salt in there, because there's something about chicken and garlic salt. I don't know what it is, but I'm putting a little bit in there. And I'm also going to add, and you don't do this if you don't like paprika, I put a little bit of paprika in there. Just a little juga. I don't know why. I don't know why. It just sounds good in my head in this moment. So now I've got that on medium. And of course it's going to have to heat up that water. And I'm going to let this simmer. And let it simmer down. You can see it's still just watery. So I'm gonna pause the camera so you don't have to watch this part, because you know, watch pot never boils and stuff. So that's where we're at right now. And I'm going to put this on simmer, and I'll put it down on number 3 for a while, and I'll stir it here and there. And then, like I said, I want it to reduce and thicken up a little bit. I still got the Rona, so I assume it tastes good. I'll put some feta cheese in it later. I don't want that to scorch. So anyway, I'm going to turn this, like I said, I'm going to let that simmer a little bit until it reduces, and then I'll come back to you. Okay. So this is, it's a little more chunky now. So this is kind of twofold. It's replacing, like some people go and they buy chicken strips, like I think like a Dairy Queen, and then they get gravy there. You know, you also have fried chicken and you get gravy, or you get chicken wings, and with that you get people use blue cheese, and I have blue cheese, so this is feta, but ooh, I might put a little blue cheese in there. Some people dip their chicken wings in blue cheese dressing and ranch dressing. So if I had some ranch seasoning, but this blue cheese will be pretty dadgum good. So again, you see the amount of dairy and cheese I'm putting in there. Is it carnivore? Absolutely. Is it, you know, sticking to my plan? Yes. Is it optimal? No. Why? Because that's a whole lot of cheese. And cheese is, you know, cheese has carbs. Cheese has, you know, it's made from the cow's milk. It's not typically, you know, they say if it has a mother, if you can eat it. Well, milk doesn't really have a mother. It came out of the mother, but then and cheese, I mean, but then they had to do some finagling to it. But anyway, but yes, technically it's still carnivore, but it's not what people call strict carnivore. It would be maybe dirty carnivore, loose carnivore, relaxed carnivore. There's all kinds of names for it. But by George, it's what I'm craving. And so I'm eating what I'm craving tonight. And the funny thing is, like I said, I've still got the Rona and I still can't smell or taste, but somehow my body and brain is telling me what it's craving, even though I can't taste. And so it's really weird, because it's not like my sugar cravings were totally different. I can't explain the difference really, but they were different. And sorry about that. Sorry, I had a telemarketer try to call in. So I've got 2 little clear containers. Since like I said, I'm gonna put this in, make this into 2 meals. I'm putting it in 2 containers. Hopefully you can see enough. I'm just gonna use this and scoop it and pour it in. If I was left-handed, this would work better, but God didn't make me left-handed. Oh, speaking of God and carnivore, I read, so there's a lady, I talked about her before, Kelly Hogan. She has a blog, My Zero Carb Life something, and just look her up. She has a blog, and she had a really good post, and it was about God and being carnivore. Because, you know, it talks about, you know, we talk about bread in the Bible, and God is the bread of life, and communion and whatnot. And I'm like her, I take communion, but it's she goes into a lot of details and stuff, and so it's pretty cool. It was an older blog. I couldn't tell you when she wrote it, but she made her husband made her blog, I think in 2015. And now obviously these are too full. So in order for me to get that closer to you, I'm gonna have to do something that probably is unconventional, but I don't care. All right, I took a bite of it. So we have feta, blue cheese, and bacon, heavy cream, pork rinds, and what'd I say? Dadgummit, Parmesan cheese. So I'm gonna put out my chicken on a plate, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dip it into here. But let me pause you so you don't have to wait on me. Now, what I did just think about, oh, that's too hot. For this, I could have watered that liquid down or not let it thicken up, and that would actually make a pretty darn good soup. So, you know, you could do all that and then have it as a soup, which would be just fine too. So probably what I'll do when I'm done with it is I probably will eat it, just eat it straight out of there because it tastes good. So that's about half. Because with the chicken, you definitely want some added fat anyway. So you got your bacon grease and you got your bacon bits and all that good stuff. So, watch out, puppy dog. Lord, do I have room in my refrigerator? I do not. And I should have, oh, that's glass. Where did that glass come from? Uh-oh. That's glass. Something shattered, and I don't know what it was. No, that ain't good. Oh, something else I made the other day, which I was terrible and I didn't show you guys, but I made some homemade broth, and with that was an experiment too. I took a brisket. Oh, wait, I need things. I had 2 briskets, and I put them in a crock pot. Well, first I roasted it on that, I think it was 400 degrees for about an hour. And then I stuck it in a crock pot and covered it with water. So basically I just had boiled brisket. And anyway, and seasoned it up and everything, and it was doggone good. And but I poured out all the liquid, and that it was, I made that into a broth. So I could add some broth to this, and that would be a good soup. So, like I said, so we're going to take this piece of chicken, and one of these pieces of chicken, I'm going to take it, I'm going to dip it, and it's very thin. I should have thickened it up a little more, but, you know, I'm not that patient. Let me see if I can bring it up closer to you. Hold on. Hold her, Newt, as my grandma used to say. Dip it. And it's got bacon bits. Oh, shoot a monkey. Mm-hmm. 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 That's some good stuff, Maynard. Yep. Yep. So that's what I did. Air fried that chicken and then made up that gravy. That's good stuff. I'm gonna be a happy girl. So yeah, I'm gonna sit down and eat that. And you all have a good day. Bye.